Now that Monster Hunter Wilds has been out for a few weeks, I felt it was time to go ahead and do our tier ranking system for all of the large monsters that were introduced into Monster Hunter Wilds. There's 29 creatures for this roster for base Wilds. Obviously, we're going to be getting some other creatures added in the future. Honestly, the roster was a little bit smaller than I was hoping for, but hey, what are you going to do? So, we will first start off with old Chotacabra here. Big old burly amphibian boy. I like amphibians in Monster Hunter. I feel like we need more of them. Hopefully, we'll get Tetsukabra in the future, because Tetsukabra is one of my favorite creature designs. But Chotacabra here is a pretty cool monster. It's basically a punching bag, you know, there's not much to it. So, in terms of design, I love it. But we'll go ahead and we'll put it into the good category, all right? So, just so y'all know, I think all the creatures in Monster Hunter are pretty well designed. So, for the most part, I'm not really going to be hating on anything. Maybe I'll hate on one or two. I don't know. You know, I'm not an extremist. You know, I know there's some extremists out there. I'm not one of those. I try to be, you know, I try to be pretty fair with my judgment here, you know? And are my opinions better than other people's? Yeah, sure, maybe. But you're entitled to your own if you disagree. Next up, Chemetrace. All right. I like Chemetrace. I like Brute Wyverns are my favorite monster type in Monster Hunter in general. And Chemetrace, I think, is awesome. Even though it's also a little bit of a punching bag, you know, I think the design is really cool. It's basically a giant cockatrice, right? That's basically what it is. I think its design's cool. I like how it uses fire, like the way it whips through its tail and everything. So overall, I think it's a really cool design. I don't think it gets the respect it deserves, but we're putting Chemetrace at great. Next up is Lalabarena. Now, it's a really great monster design, I gotta say. Having some more, you know, spider-like creatures is always welcome. But I was a little disappointed in the fight just because it was so easy. Like, a lot of the monsters in Wilds are pretty easy, you know, if we're being honest. But Lalabarena, I remember the first time I fought it, like, I don't know what the time was. Like, I have to go back, but it was definitely like under 3 minutes, I felt like, to kill it. I don't know if it even landed a single hit on me. So that was a little disappointing. Like, the fight's cool. Like, it's like mechanics and stuff I like. Although I hate paralysis. I will say that's like my least favorite, like, status condition. Not only in Monster Hunter, but in, like, any game. I hate getting paralyzed. It's the worst. But, like, its creature design is awesome. So I'm gonna put it at great. I just like the whole vibe it's got going on. The Scarlet Webs is cool, just like its area it gathers in. That was like one of the coolest looking areas in the game, where its like nest is. All right, next up, Congalala, a returning monster from, I don't know what gen Congalala was. You know, it doesn't do anything special for me. I'm gonna put it at average. Like, it's a solid creature, but honestly, a lot of the some of the old monsters that they brought back, I didn't feel like in general, I don't feel like they brought like the best of the best over from previous Monster Hunter entries. But I like Congalala. It's a fun fight, but nothing in particular about its design like really stands out to me as like, whoa, dude. So we're putting it at average, which that's still good. That's like a 7 out of 10, right? All right, Balahara. Let's see. This one is, I like its design. It's pretty cool. I like its like scaled textures and stuff, especially because like the way if you look at its design, the way like the larger scales kind of run down its body, it like twists and turns almost like it's a drill. So I think that's a pretty clever design there. The fight is okay, nothing to, you know, rant about. It's nothing fantastic or anything. But we'll put it, I think we'll put it average. It's solid. It's a solid monster. It's a good monster to have in a game. All right, but it's just for design-wise, it's not on the level of something like Chotacabra in my opinion, on how much I like it. So it's going in average. All right. Next up, we have Doshagama. Now, Doshagama kind of feels like what Anjanath was for Monster Hunter World, where it's like it's a sort of intimidating. Although, you know what, it's not much of a wall. Like, I feel like Anjanath in World was like the first kind of wall you hit, and Doshagama, it's a cool fight. It's a cool monster. It's basically a mix of a mastiff and like a bear. It's a pretty cool creature. Do I like it more than Balahara? I think I do. I think we'll put it at good. Especially the like the alpha, how it's got like the more reddish fur. Red's my favorite color, so it's gonna get bonus points for that. But I think it's a good, solid monster. Pretty cool looking, you know, grizzly beast. Next up, we have Duna, the Leviathan, who's like the apex of the Scarlet Forest. I know a lot of people like really love Duna. I like the concept of it. Its design is it's a cool design, but to me it doesn't do much for me personally. I think just like the fight itself and like when you're chasing it around and you get out to that one area on the map where it's like, you know, it's like the coastline and you're in the water and you see like all the beautiful blue water and all the cool scenery, like that kind of helps make that fight in my opinion. But the creature itself, for me, like I don't really, I'm talking like aesthetics here, you know. I'm an aesthetics guy. I'm very, very judgmental on aesthetics. Kidding. Am I vain? Yeah, sure, but whatever. I'm an artist, all right? Visual artist. This is what I do. I'm judging you based on your looks, all right? So, Duna, you're getting average, all right? You're getting average. All right, next up, Ron Popolo, the Plague Doctor-looking brute wyvern. It's a very unique monster. I like the concept of it. It's a pretty cool concept. But how do I feel about it overall? Do I think it's in the good tier? I don't think so. It's somewhere in average. But where do I think it fits in? Maybe like right there. I think above Duna. I like it. I like its design more than Duna. But do I like it more than old pink fluffball? I don't think so. Yes, no, I don't know. They're pretty close. So that's where you're going for now, okay? Next up, Ray Dow, an all-time great monster, all-timer. Definitely one of my. If I ever make, I'll end up doing like a new updated like top 10 favorite monsters from the entire series here. Once, maybe in the future after the expansion for this one comes out and we get a whole new, we've got like a good amount of new monsters introduced, but Ray Dow for me, god tier, dude. Fantastic monster. The design is like peak, everything peak about Monster Hunter. It's perfectly designed. From its looks to the fight is awesome. The music's dope. Where you fight it's cool, like all the lightning getting charged in the area. Everything about Ray Dow, I love. Although I will say, the armor set I was disappointed in, and I'm super pissed that we don't have a Ray Dow greatsword or hammer. My two favorite weapons, we don't get Ray Dow stuff. That's absurd to me. So that still pisses me off just thinking about it. I can't believe that I didn't get a greatsword. Dude, Ray Dow, look at Ray Dow's wings. They're perfect to make a greatsword out of. And like a hammer, you could do something like with its thorny giant tail, you can make a hammer out of that, or you could do something with have its skull or some cool shit. It's got all these damn, oh man, such a letdown, Capcom. You really pissed me off with that one. Oh god, still butthurt by it. But Ray Dow, god tier, one of my favorite monster designs ever. So that's where Ray Dow goes. Next up, Nursilla, another returning monster. I know there's a lot of people who like Nursilla. I think it's a cool creature. I'll probably put it. Do I put it above Doshagama? They're kind of even, I feel like. Oh, fuck. Alright, so Nursilla, I think I'll put it above Doshagama. They're pretty even. It's a cool monster. So yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. The fight's okay. But yeah, we'll put it in B tier for now. Alright, next up we have Hirabami. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, like one of the most forgettable creatures that they added in Wilds. I feel like it's just kind of like this, you know, it's like whatever. It's not like the design's bad or anything. I think it's like a cool looking creature. But in my opinion, like, I feel like it's one of like the least I don't know anybody who's like, oh, Hirabami is like so cool. Like I haven't heard like anybody say that. Like it's just kind of there. To me, it almost doesn't even feel like a truly like a large monster. Like there's a couple creatures I feel like that to me they almost feel like they're in between like a small monster and a large monster. I don't know. To me like it's just kind of like a filler monster. So I didn't really care too much about it. It's super forgettable in my opinion. But we're putting it down in D tier. So it is what it is. Sorry, Hirabami fans. All right. Next up, a Jarakan, Fire Monkey. Love me some Fire Monkey. I think this is the coolest, probably the coolest ape-like monster that they've ever added in Monster Hunter Wild, or in Monster Hunter in general. I think it's cooler than Rajang. Definitely cooler than Rajang in my opinion, and it's a more fun fight. Like the fight itself is super cool. Like the way he rams his like fists into like the lava and like his whole body just becomes coated in like magma and stuff, and then he does like that shit where he's like twirling in the ground and then flies up and then smashes down like a meteor. Super dope. I don't think I could put it S tier, but I'm definitely gonna put it in A tier. It's like it's on that border. It's almost up to S tier, but we're gonna put it at A tier for now. A Jarakan, super awesome monster. Love it. Next up, New Udra Cephalopod, new monster type introduced into Monster Hunter Wilds. The Black Flame, aka the Black Flame, as it's called amongst the natives of the region. New Udra, super awesome monster. It's also going at A tier. Do I put it above a Jarakan? Those two are like intertwined. It's pretty close. Like they're neck and neck in my opinion. It's it's such a cool fight. It's just a cool looking monster. It's so different from like stuff we typically get with Monster Hunter games. Just the way it moves and everything, and like how it like squeezes through all the different crevices, and then especially when you chase it back to like its little lair and it's like hiding in like that pipe, and you just see its like tentacles sticking out. I love New Udra, and also the armor, top tier armor design. Definitely one of the cooler looking sets, and the weapons are cool too. But I think the armor's better. New Udra, A tier. It's kind of neck and neck with a Jarakan. We're gonna kind of keep them. You could switch them back and forth. It doesn't really matter. Okay, A tier, borderline S tier. All right, now we're gonna get into like the Guardian monsters, which do they really improve upon the originals? Like in some sense, yes. Like I think the Guardian Doshagama fight is probably cooler than the regular Doshagama, but like is it? Do I think like the monster I think the monster's a little bit better. I like the white it has. I think its armor and weapons for the most part look better. Although the final upgrade for the regular Doshagama Greatsword is sick looking, and I like it more than the Guardian Doshagama version. But they're kind of like the same. The Guardians, like it is what it is. It's basically like having like a subspecies, just So we're gonna put that there. Guardian Rathalos. Now, obviously, Rathalos shows up in every single game, every single Monster Hunter game. It's the mascot, so it is what it is. I feel like I just get exposed so much to Rathalos. Like, it's a really cool it's a cool wyvern. It's just a really cool looking creature, but you see it so much that like you kind of take it for granted. So like it doesn't do anything super crazy for me. So I'm just gonna put it at like the bottom of B tier. It is what it is. Guardian Rathalos. All right, next up, Jin Dahad. Probably like the most epic, one of the most epic fights in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I think definitely one of the coolest looking creatures. It's cool because it's like this. It's got this weird. It's almost got this skeletal look to it, but it's like metal at the same time. To me, it looks like. It gives me like, especially even like the environment with all like the architecture and everything. It gives me like Ice Crown Citadel vibes, for those of you who know about World of Warcraft, or even like Lord of the Rings, like Sauron type of, something about just like the spiky, like those pillars, like those really edgy pillars and everything. It's an awesome monster. Definitely one of the best in the game. Do we put it at S tier? I think we might. It's like borderline A and S tier. But I will say it's probably tied, if not the best looking armor set in the game. One of the coolest looking armor sets I think ever in Monster Hunter. And the weapons, dude, some of the best looking weapons ever. Every single weapon looks disgusting. So sick. Just like that alone. See, that's what pisses me off about you, Ray Dow. I like your design better, but bro, your armor's definitely not as cool looking, but the weapons, the fact you got no greatsword or hammer, the other Ray Dow weapons do look cool. They're awesome. So I'm just so butthurt that there's no greatsword or hammer. Biggest disappointment 2025 right there, folks. Jindahado, S tier monster. Really cool fight. Super epic. I just like it. It's dope. All right. Next up, Guardian Ebony Odogaron. Quite the mouthful. I kind of assumed that Odogaron would be making a return in Wilds here. It was just like one of the monsters I felt like there would be a good chance. And but I wasn't, obviously I didn't know shit about there going to be some Guardian type of things. And then I have always liked Ebony Odogaron more than just the regular red one. But again, this is another monster that's kind of just like a filler for me in the game. It didn't like do anything crazy in particular. So I think we're just gonna put it at B tier, you know. And also like the armor for Odogaron in like low rank and high rank, even dating back to World, I didn't like those armor sets visually as much as like the master rank armor sets. Those looked way cooler. So definitely looking forward to the expansion when we get master rank gear, because I think a lot of the armor sets end up getting cooler looking with master rank. Next up is, I think they pronounced it, didn't they pronounce it like Shei-Wu in the game? When I saw it, I said Zhu-Wu, because it was like XU, so I was like, Zhu-Wu? I don't know, that's just what I called it, but I think it's Shei-Wu, which I don't know if that's like, is that like Chinese or something? That's what it kind of sounds like to me. But, Shei-Wu, honestly, the monster design itself, and even like the fight, to me, aren't anything like crazy spectacular. It's cool because it's another cephalopod monster, so it's just something unique, so I'll give it points for that. And its design, it's really creepy looking, but like on the pantheon of like aesthetics, do I think it's like this amazing looking creature? Nah, it's whatever. And like the fight, it's kind of small too, so it doesn't feel as epic. So I'm thinking somewhere C tier. But where on C tier do I put it? Well, I guess we just put it at the top of C tier. I know there's probably gonna be a lot of people butthurt about that. Now I will say, the armor set, The weapons, some of the best looking weapons right there. The great sword in particular, probably one of the most badass looking great swords that I've ever seen in a Monster Hunter game. So it definitely gets points for that. The weapons in particular, if I was like ranking like the weapon looks on all these monsters, it would be probably S tier. But the creature itself, I think it's just C tier for me. It is what it is. Next up, Guardian Arkfeld. Now again, since this is just gonna be a Guardian form, a regular Arkfeld, and honestly, like, I'm trying to think, like, is there even really much of a visual difference between the two? Because I'd probably have to look at like an image side by side between the two Arkfelds, but listen, Arkfeld, Guardian Arkfeld, basically the same thing. Looks the same generally. I think it's one of the coolest looking monsters in any Monster Hunter game. So you're getting S tier treatment. Also, the weapons are cool. The armor's cool. I like it more than Jin Dahad. But I don't think I like it more than Ray Dow. They're this close. Arkfeld and Ray Dow are super close. So we'll put it as S tier. Ah, dude, it's close. And also, like, when they first showed Arkfeld, like, I thought it was really dope. But when I first saw it, I wasn't as hyped for it as I was Ray Dow. But over time, like, more and more, Arkfeld's definitely just continued to grow. It was already awesome, but over time, to me, it's just gotten cooler and cooler. But yeah, definitely S tier, Guardian Arkfeld. Next up, like the big bad, the final boss of the story, Zoshia. I think this is a really cool monster. I'm gonna put it at A tier. Where do I want it though in A tier? The fight's epic. I love the fight. We're putting it. It's definitely gonna be A tier. I don't know if it's above. Here's the thing. It has like two forms basically, right? It's got the black version and it's got the white version. I think the white version looks way cooler. There's something about it. It's like this angelic. It's so not like alien, but there's something about it. I don't know if it's like the head shape and just like the color. It reminds me a little bit of like Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it definitely gets points for that for me. It's pretty cool. Honestly, do I think it might better? I don't know. Well, the thing is, you only fight it like once, so it's hard to really get like as much of an appreciation just because it's just like it just comes and goes and like so like you don't see it as much. So it kind of doesn't leave as much of an imprint on your brain, right? But it's definitely A tier. We'll put it at A tier. So yeah, Zoshia, super cool like end game monster. Definitely better than what was it called? Xeno'jiiva from World, right? The final boss of World, and then I like it more than what was it? Narwhal was like the end boss of Base Rise, I believe, or the All Mother, right? I don't remember, but it's definitely better than both of those, I think. So A tier. Next up, Yan Kutku, another returning monster. Honestly, like I said, a lot of the returning monsters in this game in particular, to me, is like some of the weaker monsters in general, like in terms of like how much I care about them. So D tier. It's not a bad monster. It's still cool. It's a you know, it's a decent fight. It is what it is. But any of like the Kutku creatures, they're kind of like they're very average for me in terms of Monster Hunter creature designs. Next up, Gypsros, another returning classic monster. D tier. I don't really care for it too much. I know there's a lot of people who like it. You know, it's kind of like a silly type of... To me, it kind of fills the role of like Puke Puke. It's like one of those type of monsters that I get a feel for, but I just... Something like Puke Puke to me is just way cooler than Gypsros. So Gypsros, like, it is what it is. The armor set's pretty cool looking, I will say that, but other than that, doesn't do much for me. Next up, Rathian. To me, Rathian is just a lesser version of Rathalos in like all aspects. C tier. I've never really cared for Rathian too much. It's like, why would I care about Rathian when I have Rathalos, right? That's how I look at it. So. Rathian, I'm sorry. It's a cool monster for anybody who likes Rathian. Don't get me wrong. It's like not a bad design or anything. It's a cool looking wyvern. It's just I've seen it so many times. It doesn't do anything for me in particular. Like I just kind of take it for granted at this point. So C tier. Great sword though. The great sword for Rathian is very cool looking, I will say. Next up, Guardian Fulgur Anjanath. I was hoping Anjanath would be making a return into Wilds because Anjanath is one of my favorite monsters. I love dinosaurs, I love theropods, I love T-Rexes, so Anjanath is top tier for me. Fulgur Anjanath is dope, and now we got Guardian Fulgur Anjanath, which is also super cool. I will put it at A tier. Where do I put it though? Where are you going? We'll put it at A tier, maybe just behind New Udra. It's close. They're all these monsters that are in the same tier. They're all kind of like very close. You can kind of interchange them, but I love Anjanath, so my boy's getting that A treatment. All right, next up, Rathalos. Same thing as like Guardian Rathalos. It is what it is. I think just because Guardian Rathalos is like the newer version, I'll probably prefer it just because it's like, you know, recency bias. So Rathalos, you're going at the bottom of the barrel of tier B. All right, next up, Gravios, another returning monster. I think Gravios is a cool monster, right? But there's nothing in it particular that like it's weird because like based upon like a lot of its elements, like you would think that it'd be like a favorite creature of mine because it's like big and bulky. It's like heavily armored. It lives in like, you know, these like fire areas. You know, it has like this it has like a Godzilla atomic breath basically, which is cool. But it's like nothing about it in particular like wows me. But I will probably put it. I think I'm gonna put it at C tier. But where does it go? Maybe like right there on C tier. I don't know. It's a cool monster, but you know, again, of all the returning monsters that they brought from previous entries, I just feel like they chose a lot of ones that I don't particularly have much fondness for. So it is what it is. Next up, Blangaga, the baboon-like Yeti type fanged beast. Again, this is another one. I don't know. I feel like it's just the what's it called? What's the name of the ice map? I always forget it because it's just like so. I feel like that map is just so like you just come and go through it. It's like super forgettable. Like it just feels like a little blip within like the game itself. Like I feel like there's not much to do there. I don't know. I just feel like the ice. It's just such a letdown because in Monster Hunter Ice World Iceborne, that map there was like how I want like my snow biome to be. And in this one, like, yeah, it's cool having like the ancient remains of like this like civilization, like all these like cool citadels with like this ice and stuff. But it's just like a bunch of like little hallways and everything, and I don't know. I just feel like that part of the game was like one of the most forgettable. And Blangaga here, just again, it feels just like Hirabami in a sense. But I will put it above Yankuku. Doesn't really do anything for me. It's not bad or anything, but for me, it is what it is. Next up, Gore Magala. All right, Gore Magala, a fan favorite. Who doesn't like Gore Magala? The Edge Lord himself. Really cool monster. I think Shigaru Magala is cooler, just a little bit, especially when it comes to like the weapons and the armor. Which I mean, I'm assuming we're eventually gonna get Shigaru Magala in this game, either through the updates or the eventual expansion. But Gore Magala is always going to be an A tier monster. Where do we put it though? Where do we put Gore Magala? It's on A tier. Is it the top of A tier? It's hard because like the new monsters, they're just so fresh and it's just exciting. So it's hard for me to like want to put it above a Jerrican or New Udra. But and I only fought Gore Magala like twice. Like it shows up so late, and like at that point, like I didn't really care to keep fighting it because I didn't really care for like any of its. I didn't really care to like get any of its gear in particular, but I don't know. We'll just keep it at A tier. It's definitely it's an awesome monster. Gore Magala is always cool to have, right? And then finally, we have Arkfeld, the pure version of Arkfeld. Again, it's like interchangeable with Guardian Arkfeld, but it's just because it's the actual live living creature, it goes above Guardian Arkfeld. Also, normal Arkfeld, its armor is cooler. I think it's got one of the coolest looking armor sets in general. I always like the big, like giant fur coats and like that, like the Viking kind of style armor, similar to like was it Bombaro from Iceborne? Like that sort of like just bulky Viking, just woolly armor set with like horns and tusks and shit. I love that kind of stuff. And again, the weapons are cool. So Arkfeld above Guardian Arkfeld, but S tier, top tier monster. Again, definitely one of my all-time favorite monsters. I think it would probably maybe get in my top 10 also. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but I will say that the thing that's kind of weird about Arkfeld is that the thing that doesn't make sense to me is like when it's walking on the ground, it's like wings are shrunk, right? Like if you look at like the fur webbing or whatever the hell it is, like it's small. It's like smaller when it's on the ground, and it's like not even attached to those like chain ligaments. But then it somehow like flies off in the air, and it's like wings get bigger, and then like the chains get smaller, but like the fur, I don't know how that quite function. I don't know how that exactly works because usually Monster Hunter, the team of Monster Hunter, they're really good at making things believable, and I'm fine with it because for me, in my opinion, like Wilds feels like a little bit they up the fantasy aspect of the series a little bit more. There's our tier system, folks. So we got Raydao numero uno. All right, Arkfeld number 2, and basically Jindahad number 3. That's my list right there. All right, and you could probably interchange like the order of them within their tier, like here, there, maybe mix and match. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good list. All right, what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you completely disagree with me and you think that Gypsros is God tier and that I'm an idiot for doing this, but also I just noticed that my tier things changed, all right, because it got closed down. Average. Yeah, that's weird, but yeah, so that's my list, folks. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If you want to rage against me, go ahead, it's fine. You know, we all got our opinions, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got them. So it is what it is. Do me a solid if you like the video. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like the content and want to see more. And until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out.